Good evening and good day, whatever time it is for you. I am thankful that you're here. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you. And this is a continuation of last week's stream where we talked about, drum roll please. Oh, I'm not going to ring that cymbal yet. That's a cymbal, right? That you hit at the end of a drum roll. I'm not going to hit it yet because I want to see if y'all remember what we talked about last week. I'm very curious. Ben, welcome in. Tony, if you're still here, welcome in. The lifeboat was first today. Super weird. Super weird. The timestamp for lifeboat's comment it came in at 3:50, but I logged in at 3:37 and saw that he had left a comment at 3:50. Not quite sure why the lifeboat's comment was displaying at 3:50. That was very odd and interesting. Ben, you are here. Okay, so Ben's comment, oh shoot. You know what? And just to prove it, I'm going to put the lifeboats. Oh, it doesn't put the timestamp up there. I'm first. Mwahahaha, says the lifeboat at 3:50. But it was so weird. I logged in at 3:37, so he posted that comment in the future. I'm curious, Lifeboat, how did you post a comment in the future? I want to know. Tony in the house, Ben in the house, Kristen, Melinda in the house. Welcome all. Nice to see you. Ben says, tell me, Tara, is this going to be the first time you don't match the thumbnail? Ben, great question. No, it's not going to be the first time that I don't match the thumbnail, although I was thinking of taking a new thumbnail at the end of the stream so that I do match, but I might not do that. We'll just have to see how I feel at the end of the stream. So no, it's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last. Kristen, Melinda, it's always nice to see you, Kristen. Welcome in. I'm so glad you're here. You had some really good advice on Carol's stream. I always enjoy seeing your comments, Kristen. They're always so thoughtful. Not to be redundant, very well thought out comments. I love seeing you in chats, and I'm glad you're here. Rev Rashim in the house. Rev Rashim, good evening, Tara. And I am blessed to be here, and you are looking very nice. Well, thank you. I will take that compliment all day long for the rest of my life. Rev, I appreciate you, and I'm so glad you're here. Body Illusion in the house. Hey, Body Illusion. It's always nice to see you, too. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. James, we got a good crew developing here. Great crew. James, nice to see you. James is Come Alive Ministries. Kristen says, we'll hang out as long as I can until I've got to get into some kiddo dinner making. Well, that is totally understandable. My best friend is also into some kiddo dinner making right now. Rev Rashim, my 45th birthday is on Friday, and I'm truly grateful to be alive, says Rev Rashim. And Rev, you just told me that I want to plug your channel. So if y'all don't know, Rev Rashim has his own channel, and I'd really like to get you the link. So bear with me while I do that. Rev Rashim's birthday is on Friday. Why? And he is trying to get to a certain number of subscribers. I apologize for not being able to remember how many that is. Oh man, it's not giving you in my Rev Rashim Stewart. Times like these, I kind of wish I had a mod, but never fear, I just found it. Okay. There we go. So this link is Rev Rashim's link. He has a YouTube channel, and he is trying to get to 100 subscribers by his birthday. So show him some love, follow that link, and happy early birthday to you, Rev. Conversations with Christy. Nice to see you. Welcome in. She says, hello, glad to be here. I'm glad you're here, Christy. And I loved everything that you shared in that last meeting. It was inspirational, and I told Carol I appreciated her vulnerability. And Christy, I want to echo the same comment to you. I absolutely appreciate your vulnerability. I love being here. Thank you for having me, says Kristen Melinda. Yes, happy birthday, Rev. Whoops. Artem in the house. Hey, Artem, nice to see you. Welcome in. The topic was relationships, says Ben. Ben, you remembered, right on. The topic was relationships, and you're trying out for Survivor. Oh, because Drew came in. Drew is the one who suggested back in the day, in my Instagram days. If you haven't been over to my Instagram and you're interested, you can see what my previous life was like before I was Tara Smiling on YouTube. I was Tara Smiling over on Instagram. I do hope to marry the two someday, meaning joining the two together. And you introduced Vicky, says Ben. And you know what? I'm going to show y'all Vicky again today. Here's Vicky. She is resting right now. I'm going to use some of her this evening for dinner, and then I'm going to feed her afterwards. So she's not bubbly as you've seen her in the past, but she is doing really well. Vicky, yep, V-I-C-K-Y, that's correct. I finally hit 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, says James, Come Alive Ministries. I speak some deep, dark realities for the past 8 months. If you haven't checked James out, please feel free to go check out his channel too. He just hit 1,000 subscribers. James, I'm going to give you a trophy. I am so proud of you, James. Fantastic work. I hope you keep up the hard work. It is hard work to get to 1,000. Conversations with Christy subbed to Rev Rashim's channel. And if you haven't been to Conversations with Christy's channel, please check her out too. I want to get through some of these comments, and then maybe I'll try to find the links. I don't want to get too far behind. I do not have a mod in here right now. Kristen Melinda is the best therapist in the whole wide world. My therapist is up there too. Can I give the award to two people, Kristen Melinda and my therapist? Vicky is missing some of herself. No, she's not. No, she's not. It's good to let her bubble up or bubble down sometimes, kind of like people need rest. Sourdough starters like rest too. It actually helps them develop a unique flavor profile when they sit and they rest in room temperature. The same thing happens when you put a sourdough starter in the refrigerator. It develops a different type of flavor profile. So I bounce back and forth. Looking good, Vicky. Yes, Vicky is my co-host, Body Illusion. Rev Rashim, Tara, what's your favorite summertime activity? Good question, Rev. Good question. You have great questions. My favorite summertime activity is going to have to be going to the beach. Going to the beach. Now, whether I'm surfing or whether I'm just swimming in the ocean or laying in the sand, it does not matter to me. Going to the beach is my favorite summertime activity. What's y'all's favorite summertime activity before we get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today? And I'm curious, the lifeboat checked in earlier. Does anybody know how he's doing and if he's going live tonight? Because I know this morning he was talking about having his tooth pulled. So I'm curious if anybody knows if he did that and if he's going live today. Congrats, everybody. Everybody's tearing it up. All right, so I want to plug Christy's channel and James' channel. Where's a mod when you need one? Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me, and we'll get into it. I'm going to plug Christy's channel. I will plug James' channel in a little bit. I don't want to get too far behind. And I want to get into the content too, because we haven't even gotten into that yet. Where did we go? Here we go. Conversations with Christy is a great channel. She is trying to get to 500 subs, so let's help this sister out. All right, so this is what I want to talk about today. This is a continuation of last week's stream. We talked about, Ben was right. We talked about relationships. I want to talk about healthy relationships because there's relationship and then there's healthy relationships. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, although y'all know I'm a sucker for romance, or maybe you don't know that. Maybe I've never shared that before. I'm a sucker for it. I want to talk about healthy relationship in general. And just to recap on what we talked about last week, the first thing we talked about is open communication. We talked about trust, and we talked about individuality. These are some components of a healthy relationship. If you want to hear more depth about any of those three things, feel free to go back to last week's live stream. We talked about it in depth. Anne Marie Bliss, I'm driving home ASAP. What's up, everyone? Whitewater rafting is my favorite summer activity. Anne Marie, it's so good to see you, friend. How's everything going? Rev Rashim says barbecue is my favorite summertime activity. Barbecue is fun. I never think to barbecue myself, but I do love going to a good barbecue. Yeah, Conversations with Christy amazes me with her interview style. Conversations with Christy amazes me with a lot of things. James, YouTube shut my comments off on my recent published video. They were sabotaging it when I was exporting it after I finished editing. Not the first time they've done it, so I'll republish it later. That sounds like a good idea, James. I think it's so interesting to hear about what people are going through with YouTube. I try to just not pay attention, in all honesty. I've had Blessed to Crochet. Welcome to the party, Blessed to Crochet. Great to see you. Instagram. I used to put background music to my stories on Instagram. Like I would choose a song from Spotify. And sometimes I would spend all the time to put together this collage and the music would blend perfectly. And then Instagram would take it down for copyright. I'm like, why am I accessing this song inside of Instagram, but you're not going to let me, you're going to make me spend all the time to create this thing, but then you're going to take it down after I post it. Just don't let me access it in Instagram then. Come on, people. Maybe that's just too straightforward. All right, so this is what I have to say today. Healthy relationships. The first thing I want to talk about, and please feel free to share in the comments what you think makes up a healthy relationship. I so love this topic, especially since, did I tell y'all? I don't think I told y'all this last week. Since I have had Vicky for over a year now, that means that I have permission to get involved. So I've been talking to somebody. We'll see how that continues to transpire. Yeah, so I am thinking about healthy relationships. I want all the relationships in my life to be healthy. Not just my romantic relationship, but my actual relationships, you know, me and you, me and my mom, me and my brother, me and my best friend. I want all of these relationships to be healthy. So the first trait that I have to talk about, and again, let me know in the chat if you've got some different things to talk about, is curiosity. It is healthy to be curious about the person we are in relationship with. And again, this is not just with respect to romance. This is respect to every relationship that exists in our lives. It is healthy to ask questions. It's healthy to be curious about the person that we're talking with. And if I'm getting to know somebody romantically and I have to walk on eggshells, this has happened to me in the past, y'all. I have had to walk on eggshells about certain topics, certain questions that I had, and I am not going to live that way anymore. It is healthy to be curious about the person you are in relationship with. K1, welcome in. K1 says, I like when the weather gets warm. It makes the surveillance of my neighbors much more comfortable. Well, that's good to know, K1. You got some binoculars out there? Do I need to look out for you? Kristen Melinda, honesty, trust, and fun. Honesty is so important in relationships. And I think this ties into open communication, which is something that we touched on last week. I don't know if I used that word though, Kristen. I would have to go back and see, but I totally agree with you. Fun is something that I don't have on my list. I'm going to add it to my list. Kristen Melinda, you're so smart. Okay, so you just can't comment on the thread, says James. Get a violation on TikTok? Blessed to Crochet says boundaries. Okay, that's not something I had on my list either. I am taking notes from y'all. That is a great one, Blessed to Crochet. I think this kind of ties into individuality a bit. You know, like we're both separate people. We both have a right to determine what we're okay with and what we're not okay with. And that's a part of individuality. It might be different for both people. I feel that respect is something important in a relationship. I totally agree, Christy, and I don't think that's something that was on my list either. Y'all are coming up with some great traits of a healthy relationship. Realist EDM, welcome back. Curiosity killed the cat, or is that false? This seems like it could be tied into a Schrodinger's cat reference, but I don't think that that's the intent here. Curiosity killed the cat, or is it false? I think it's sometimes true and sometimes false. So this brings me back to Schrodinger's cat. Do y'all know about Schrodinger's cat? Realist, especially you, I want to know if you know about Schrodinger's cat, because I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B on your question. Steve Gonzalez, welcome back. Hello, Tara. Hope you had a blessed Memorial Day weekend. I sure did. It was relaxing and wonderful. And I hope the same for you. Steve, what did y'all do for Memorial Day? I'm curious what y'all did. I mostly relaxed. I agree. Curiosity is very important in relationships. I'm going to star Realist EDM's comment. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what other people think about Realist EDM's comment. I want to come back to that. Did curiosity kill the cat, or is curiosity healthy? Realist EDM says curiosity is very important. I think an alignment of interests is mandatory for romantic relationships, says Probably Ignorant, also known as Artem. For platonic relationships, I really think good intentions is the most important. So what do y'all think if one person has a set of interests, the other person is open to the other person's set of interests, but they don't necessarily overlap? See, I think that's okay. I think that's great. It lines up with individuality. Like, I have my hobbies, you have yours. We can cross them over. Maybe we don't have to. Individuality. For platonic relationships, Artem says, I really think good intentions is the only requirement. So Artem, why would it be different for platonic relationships versus romantic relationships? Answer me that. And what do y'all think about that? James says, keeping secrets with your significant other is likewise to lying. My wife and I are always open for discussion with each other. And that is a beautiful thing. I think having an open dialogue with no qualms about it is the best way. I have not been able to find this in most of my previous romantic relationships. Some of them, yes, but not all of them. But I so value a romantic relationship where I'm able to have an open dialogue and feel like no secrets are necessary. Christy wants someone who makes me laugh, not someone who doesn't bring her down, or someone who can bring her down from being really angry as well. I agree with that, Christy. Luke in the house. Hey, Luke, welcome in. Nice to see you, friend. K1 says, Ben, I'm a flawed person. Aren't we all? Work hard, but avoid burnout and the fun will be more fun, says Realist EDM. I want to comment, we learned in peer support that the top 2 ways to avoid burnout, which this is peer support, but I think it applies to life too. The first way is lack of self-care, and the second way is trying to fix people. So if we can if we can take care of ourselves and avoid trying to fix people, then we're going to have a good time. Mayonnaise Entertainment. Hey, Mayonnaise. Understanding what the other person is going through and empathy on the bad days. Absolutely. And I would want the same. Y'all are having some great thoughts here. I am loving this. I am probably going to need to rewatch this at some point. Feeling safe, says Blessed to Crochet, whether you're in a relationship romantically or with a friend. Yeah, feeling safe is a good one. That's not on my list either. Feeling safe. That's a great one, Blessed to Crochet. Blessed to Crochet has a channel too. I would like to plug your channel, Blessed to Crochet, and I have to remember, hope that I can find you. There you are. Check out Blessed to Crochet's channel. I just posted a link. Luke, curiosity without discernment can be dangerous, but I think curiosity is a joy. I agree. That's a deep statement, Luke. I had to read that like 3 times. Anything without discernment can be dangerous. I totally agree with you there. Dead on, says Ben to Artem. Dead on. I was trying to figure out how to say that about romantic interests. I'm going to go back to what Artem said. Alignment on interests is mandatory. I wonder if Artem chimed in on this. I'm kind of behind. Interested in romantic relationship. When one person is interested in a particular level of relationship, it gets hard. Brian Lucas, nice to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Good evening. Those apply to therapists too. Yeah, feeling safe with a therapist is a must. Blessed to Crochet, I'm so happy for you. You married your best friend. I hear you talking about this all the time. I think it's so cute. You'll be married 17 years in July. Aw, happy anniversary. Curiosity is to be expected in a relationship, but I prefer to conceal as much about myself as possible. I want to know everything about my partner, though. Interesting, K1. How do you pull that off? I mean, I tend to be kind of, I read in a personality profile test at one point that I can be mysterious to a fault. I don't mean to be mysterious to a fault by any means. I need to do a better job at not being so mysterious if I want to fix that. I don't try to. I just sometimes don't want to give long-winded answers to things. I don't mean, okay, Artem, here's the answer to the question. How far behind am I? 3 minutes. Not my worst. I don't mean interests to mean things you like. I mean in the sense of objectives. Okay. Like your idea of what the objective of the relationship is should align with that of your partner. Okay. Agreed, Artem. We can agree to agree on this one. My husband and I have different interests. We both try to share each other's interests. Having your own friends and interests is very important in a healthy relationship, and the other person respects that. Yes. Good point, Conversations with Christy. You're welcome, Blessed to Crochet. Mary says, Mary is blessed to crochet. You don't have to crochet to be a part of my community. You just want to connect with others. That's good to know, Blessed Crochet. Blessed to crochet. Love this quote. When you have a friend who is going through a personal storm, instead of being the weatherman and spreading the news, Try being an umbrella and cover them with love. Bear with me, y'all. I do not have a mod in here right now. And I want to plug James' channel because I told him I would. Let's support all of our peeps. Artem, the difference between the prerequisites of a romantic relationship versus a platonic one stems from simply that romantic relationships are much more involved. True that. True that. I almost forgot to tell y'all, I am doing one-on-ones. Some of you know this. Some of you know this. I'm running a summer special right now, $30 for 30 minutes. Peer support. This is peer support. I'm a peer support specialist. I support people in recovery from mental health and substance misuse disorders. I'm also running a summer special over on Patreon, and I recently updated my prices because they did not reflect the discounts that you get. So that has now been remedied. I apologize for not catching that sooner. So if you have not been to my Patreon, please go check it out. It is a work in progress, but what I can promise you is that my peer support services are lit, and I'm getting better and better every single day. If a man compliments his wife or girlfriend, even when she makes a mistake, the love and acknowledgement builds up with her appreciation. That's why women love a man with listening skills. We certainly do love men with listening skills. And I forgot to tell you, my bad, that if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, but Patreon's not your jam, or if you just want to reach out and connect to say hi, irrespective, like not including wanting to work with me one-on-one, you just want to say hi, you can email me at tarasmiling@yahoo.com. One thing I want to say about James' comment here is that listening skills, I feel like, are highly underrated. I'm developing a peer support training for this job that I just got. I'll be training people on what peer support is. And something that I included in there is active listening skills. It is so important when we're providing peer support. Active listening skills, also an important part of a relationship. I might want to do an entire, I was just going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm just making a note here that I might want to do a complete show on active listening because there's so much to it and it's so important. A healthy platonic relationship can be very distant, so it doesn't matter if people's interests align. It might just be recreational and not a collaborative effort to achieve something together. Agreed. Agreed. Okay, but you're saying a romantic relationship is not that. Okay, Artem, we're on the same page. Finally, something we agree on. I'm just joking, Artem. I'm giving you a hard time. You're welcome, James. Oh, I need to take a deep breath before I read this comment. Ben says, yes, Tara, you are a bit mysterious. I will just ask you, however, what do you think is most important to you from others? Significance, acceptance, or approval? I have to pick between those three things. That's a hard choice. What's most important to me? Probably acceptance. Since you're making me choose, I want to know what other people think on this. What's most important to you? Significance, acceptance, or approval? I think, you know, am I significant or not? That's none of my business. Do you approve of me or not? That's none of my business. Acceptance, though, like I want to be accepted for me the way that I am. Unconditionally, I mean, within reason, right? Like if I go start pushing kids off swings or something. Oh, sorry, mom, children. Hi, mom. Children. My mom doesn't like it, and my grandma didn't like it when I use the word kids, because a kid is a baby goat. So children. If I started pushing children off of swing sets, I wouldn't expect anybody to accept that. But I mean, I guess people would have to accept it, but I wouldn't expect anybody to. It's an interesting question, Ben. I've never pushed a child off of a swing set before, by the way. That's not something that I've ever done. Don't plan on doing. Schrodinger's cat, says Realist EDM. Quantum physics, yes, indeed. But a nice metaphor, like assumptions in a relationship. We can imagine things being true about our partner, but won't know for sure until we make an effort. Yeah, assumptions can be the bane of our existence. You know what they say about assumptions, don't you? The key is you don't have to fix the situation. You just need to listen. Ask the person what they need when they're venting about something. Well, no wonder you've been married and happy so long, Mary. You've got it figured out. Ben does ask good questions, Kristen. Wouldn't approval constitute the acceptance and significance? I don't think so. I think they're independent. At first, I thought they were all intertwined too, but then I thought about it for a little while and I was like, no, these are separate. I mean, says Artem, how do you approve of things you don't consider significant or acceptable? Fair question. K1, I think quantum physics should be outlawed. Definitely putting a vial of poison in a box with a living animal should be outlawed. But I like the thought experiment. Approval, says Ben, the asker of the question, is more about having people hold you in esteem and significance. Oh, and significant, wait, hold you in, okay, let me try that again. Bear with me, y'all. Approval is more about having people hold you in esteem and significance. Oh my gosh, I did the same thing twice. Approval is more about having people hold you in esteem. Significance is about standing out. People who are leaders and who have tattoos tend to be significance. I mean, it's not my business if I'm significant to someone or not. I'm significant to myself, and that's all that matters to me. I've found that telling my wife how smart she is way more powerful than telling her that she's pretty. But when I do tell her she's smart, sometimes I slide in the "you're beautiful too." You know what? My family focused a lot more on intellect than looks. And I really appreciate that. It makes me feel way more valuable. I mean, it's nice to be told I'm pretty, and they told me that too, which was always nice to hear. It's never not nice to hear that from people who you have a positive relationship with. But I really like being told things about my quality of character over things about my looks. But I'll take a compliment about looking fresh any day. Okay, I haven't even got to the next thing yet. So the next thing I have on my list for what constitutes a healthy relationship, let me know what your thoughts are about this. Time apart. What do y'all think about time apart? I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important. I don't know how this works. If you're married, chime in and let me know how you manage this. It's easy when you're not living together to have time apart. How do you manage having time apart when you're married? Please let me know. So some things that I highlighted that would foster having time apart is it ties into the individuality thing we were talking about. Having hobbies that are different from one another. Or if you have all the same hobbies, then maybe grabbing a girlfriend and going, like, let's say surfing, for example. I could grab a girlfriend and go surfing with them instead of grabbing my significant other to go surfing with. So it doesn't have to necessarily be opposite, or not opposite, different hobbies, but I think it's important to do things separately. Oh, and also something else that I thought of was friends and family. So spending time with friends and family is independently of one another, I personally think is a healthy activity. What do y'all think? Luke, I can definitely accept something I don't approve of. Yeah, yeah, that Luke and I, Luke, we're on the same page. I don't have to approve of it, but I can accept it. And that's why I picked acceptance. As far as social needs, says Ben. I think talking about the approval, acceptance, relevance, or significance is what he said. Believe me, says Mary, I love my husband, but there are those days I don't have it figured out. But it is the commitment and love we have to each other that keeps us together. Don't base decisions on feelings. It's good to know that not everybody has it figured out. You know, it's always a nice reminder that I might never figure it out, and that's all right. Thanks, Mary. Can you approve of something you don't accept? Good question, Luke, or Artem. I wonder what Luke said about this. Kristen Melinda, that's a fascinating question, Ben. I agree with you, Kristen. I am by nature an approval seeker. I am ambivalent about significance. Approval is like people who like getting kudos. Acceptance is the people who like to be welcomed in a group. Yeah, I do like being welcomed in a group. It sucks to be kicked out of groups. It sucks to be kicked out of Bible studies. Who gets kicked out of a Bible study? This girl. Kristen, I'm married and I will say time apart is vital to me, but I'm an introvert. If I don't get alone time, I go bonkers. I think alone time is fantastic. That's a way to spend time apart, is by spending time alone, for sure. Time apart is easy and refreshing when your relationship is complicated. I'm thinking you got my wheels turning, Ben, and I feel like this is a Schrodinger's cat thing too. I could argue that every relationship is complicated, but I could argue that every relationship, when you boil it down, is simple too. But I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for me. And I could argue both sides for every relationship. I believe couples should schedule time together, maybe 4 hours per day maximum. K1 coming in with the data. What if you want to go on a camping trip? Do you have to like average that in? Like, you're not going to spend any time together? K1, please chime in on this. I'm curious what you think. Do you not spend any time with each other if you're going camping together, like before, and then you get home from camping and you don't see each other for 3 days? How does that work? Right, Ben, I understand that they're different concepts. I'm just thinking approval already presupposes acceptance, but not vice versa. Artem, thinker of deep thoughts. Luke, time apart is important for me. That's where shared interests can be smothering. I like to have my cool down hobby. That's interesting. Yeah, shared interests I think are great, but I could see how you would think it would be smothering. That's why I think you got to do it. It's like, even like the surfing thing, you can both like surfing, but to do them separately important to be able to do it together and separately. But not that you have to do everything together. I think you'll get what I'm putting down here. I like focus space when I'm working, says Luke. Me too. Me too. I might continue this and do the rest of these next week because I've got 3 more things, but I did want to, well, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. I want to get through these comments. I want to give people the opportunity to come up and chat if anybody's feeling like it in about 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. I will open up the floor for you to come up and chat about anything. If you want to talk about healthy relationships, sweet. If you want to talk about, I'm going to drop the link right now, actually. If you want to talk about anything, if you've got something challenging or exciting going on, click that link. I will bring you up in about 4 minutes. Mary says, I'm disabled, so it's my husband. And we spent, or so, I think so is my husband probably. And we spend every day together. I'm often in my bedroom crocheting or doing the YouTube, and he's often in the living room watching television. I think this is individuality. This is time apart. You know, you can be in the same house, but spend time apart. And I think that's healthy. I also think it's really cute. You and your husband. You got kicked out of a Bible study? Sure did. I sure did. This one right here, leave it to me. That's a conversation for another day. I'm going to make a note of that. I don't think Jesus was kicking anybody out of Bible studies. Just saying. I thought you'd be an ambivert, says Ben. Yeah, she's an introvert. I'm an ambivert. And proud. Due to my disability, I can't drive, so he has to drive me where I need to go. For the most part, I love spending time with my husband. And again, I married my best friend. I love how you clarify here, Mary, and you say for the most part. That's really cute. It's honest. That's honest, and that's a strength. Yeah, Luke, you and I are on the same wave. We're on the same page for this. I don't feel the need of approval of anything except for myself. I went through the same thought process when Ben asked this question. The lifeboat's back in the house. Yo, the lifeboat, are you going live after this? Do I need to wrap things up and send the traffic over to you? Did you get a tooth pulled today, the lifeboat? How are you doing? Tell me. We want to know all about it. Tara, I would love to have a discussion with you from a married perspective and a single perspective. Think it would be great. I will email you. Mary, I will look out to that. I am so behind on my emails right now. I owe emails to several people. If you are one of those people, I see you. I apologize for not being able to get to it sooner. I'm working on it. Mary, please feel free to send me an email. If you want to email me, I am going to post my email in the chat. And I'll probably be getting emails this evening and tomorrow. So you can look out for a response from me. I parted ways from Tala and Slow-Mo when they James. I know, James, you were there when that happened, and I appreciate you sticking up for me. That was a really nice, and Ben also stuck up for me, and I stuck up for myself, and I'm proud of myself for that. Ben, I could be, I'm still stuck on James' comment. Sorry, y'all, that threw me off. That might be a better description. I probably just feel like an introvert because with my husband, dog, and 5-year-old, I don't really get much alone time. You know, I'm wondering how I'm going to handle this. if I ever get shacked up. I don't mean to be insensitive about the topic. I think it would be wonderful to spend my life with someone. I just hope that we can find a good, healthy balance of all these things. You know, we've talked about open communication, trust, individuality, curiosity, time apart. We've got so much to think about here. The lifeboat has an appointment Thursday at 8:30. He meant 8:30. Okay, the lifeboat. I'm so happy that you are going to get that thing yanked. So are you going live today, Spanx? Anne-Marie Bliss. Hey, Anne-Marie. Sorry you're having dental problems. Yeah, it stinks. Everybody's heart is with the lifeboat, Spanx, Mr. Calhoun. I would really like for that tooth to get yanked out. Tell me, the lifeboat, are you okay? So the lifeboat is going live or shut down. I mean, the lifeboat, it's not like I've got a million people in here, but I would like to catch your live stream this evening. I've been so busy lately. I haven't been catching a lot of them, but I'll be there tonight, and I'm going to send everybody over to you. If you want to come up and chat with me, if anybody has something they want to talk about, let me post the link again. And then I'm going to get a link to the Lifeboats channel. Please click that StreamYard link, come up and chat with me. I'd be happy to chat with you. If not, we can continue chugging along. I'll get through these comments, see if we get through those. We can keep going down the list. And this is where I'm going to be next. I want to commend Mr. Calhoun, who is the proud captain of the lifeboat. If you have not checked out his channel yet, I absolutely love his content. I love the concept of his channel. It is a recovery channel. They talk about recovery things and other things. They talk about a lot of different things, and they have shows going on constantly. So you'll always have a friend in the lifeboat. Spanx is one of my favorite people, Mr. Calhoun, the lifeboat. So please go over and check him out. He is going to be going live, I think, today at 5:05. He usually goes on at 5:05. If I'm wrong about that, Captain Calhoun, please correct me. But yeah, if you know, you know. And if you don't, come join us over on Mr. Calhoun's, Captain Calhoun's channel. Be great to see y'all over there after this. Kristen, what happened? Maybe somebody can fill me in offline. Kristen, I'd be happy to tell you. I'll be comfortable sharing way more details with you offline than I would blast here on the internet. So more to come on that. We've got Tony in the house. Tony, I'm bringing you up. Tony, nice to see you. How are you doing, Tony? Are you still at the hospital?
Nope. I just got home, walking in my door, about relationships. As you know, I am, oh, come on, kitty. Come on, Sandy. There you go. I'm polyamory. So, oh my goodness. Animals everywhere. Hold on a second. Hi, guys. You got him for a little bit?
So while she's taking care of that, I want to highlight K1's comment. K1 said if there was a camping trip or something along those lines, I would file that under an exception to the 4-hour maximum rule. It would remain in place for all standard days, though, ideally. Okay, I like that. Yeah, there could be exceptions. I dig that. And vice versa. Yep. If I need a little more space, then please give me a little more space.
Yep, that's it exactly. So, sorry.
It's okay. You have had quite a day.
I have, and the surgery's been postponed till tomorrow, sometime
So
in the
for people who
afternoon.
don't know, Tony, can you give us a brief description of what you're dealing with right now?
My son was on his way home yesterday, and he was unsure about the vehicle that was in front of him. They were acting really sketchy. He was on his motorcycle, and they decided to swerve over in front of him. He hit his brakes, ended up laying his bike down. We found out what his back hit. He had his backpack on, and he had one of my lunch sandwich boxes or something like that in his backpack, and it hit that L3 spine spot and broke
Mm.
that L3 that is now pushing into his spinal cord. They're going to have to go and remove that piece of bone and put some screws and other things in there to help support his spine. They were hoping to do the surgery today, but the ORs were all really busy, and so were the doctors and everything. And so he's been put off till tomorrow, but I don't think they're going to let him go much more than past tomorrow. They'll figure out a way to fit him in. So, and that's where we're sitting right now. But on the topic of relationships, of course, I have at 56, I've had many different types of relationships. And I'll tell you the one thing that never works in a relationship, and that's lying. You lie in a relationship, you will get caught, and it can cost you your relationship. So don't ever lie. Always be open and honest. Even if you think it might upset somebody, still be open and honest, because then the forgiveness can happen.
It's a really good point.
Yeah. The other thing is that not every relationship is the same. But time apart, I say, is essential for any relationship, because I don't know if you've ever heard the saying of distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So it's true. I had to go to Texas for a month with Dustin, who is my boyfriend. He had to have surgery down there, and we were gone for a month. And at the end of that month, I was missing my husband so much, so much. And Dustin was missing him too, because they're best friends. And it's time apart. You need to have time to yourself. You need to have time to be able to clear your head sometimes, to get your thoughts together, because sometimes there's big topics that come up in a relationship, whether it's finances, it's children, it's work, whatever. There's big topics that happen, and you have to be able to talk about them. But if you're not in the right headspace, it's harder to talk about, you know. I feel very lucky because I have two men in my life that love me so much and are such a big support. And going through what my husband and I are going through, since it's our child, you know, we're a little bit closer to the whole situation. Dustin, even though he cares about Jonathan, he's not as close to it. So he's like our support person right now. He's the one that's kind of holding us up and making sure we're okay and we have the things we need, and, you know, we have somebody we can talk to. So there's so many facets to a relationship. And like you said, not any one relationship is the same. And I have two right now, and both of them are different, you know, and, but I love them both, and I support them. They support me. Our support might be different for each other in different ways, but it's there. And it's just, it amazes me how they're so different.
Something that you said that really stuck out to me that I want to point out right now and commend you on is when you were talking about honesty. You know, when if you lie, you're done. Now,
Mm-hmm.
is this something that you have a zero tolerance policy for, or is this something that if somebody slips and tells, say, a white lie, for example, and then they say, you know what, I wasn't being honest with you, I want to tell you the truth. Uh, how would you handle something like that? Or is it you lie, you're done?
No, it's not you lie, you're done. I mean, there's been times I've lied to Nathan, Nathan's lied to me, but we work our way through it because we do open up to the other person and say, okay, yes, I did not tell you the truth about this. This is what's happening. And then we come together and we work through it. But we have a strong relationship to where we can do that. You know, we've been married 20, 22 years come August, and we'll have been together 23 years come December.
So I want to interrupt you really quick, and I want to ask you a question. I want to say, if I can interrupt you, I apologize. Is
Oh,
it
yeah,
okay if
go
I
ahead. Go
interrupt you?
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I'm really curious about your secret sauce. What you said, 22 years?
Mm-hmm.
That is a long a time, if you know what I'm saying.
I understand.
Can you tell us what your secrets are?
Open and honest communication. That's the basis. Okay. If you're not open and you're not honest, you can be open and not honest, or you can be closed and honest, but it has to be open and honest communication, talking to each other, spending time together, not keeping our faces in social media or digital things. It's sitting down in the evening and spending time together talking and honestly talking, you know, how do you feel? And listening is so essential to any relationship, and it's helped ours because when we shut our mouths and we actually listen to what the person is saying, we actually hear what they're saying, and then we can give them the appropriate response. Whereas if we don't shut our mouths and listen, then we tend to start jumping to conclusions, which can lead to issues. So open, honest communication with closed mouth listening, love, time together, time apart, and making sure that we're each other's priority. Even if you have children, you still have to make time for each other because if you don't, it's going to fall apart because you start separating yourself from each other. You start going your separate ways. I mean, there's things that the guys do that I have no interest in, and that's fine. I love it. I have things I do that they're not interested in. They're fine with that. They love it.
So
But then there's
individuality. I hear you talking about individuality.
individuality.
Hmm.
You can't let the other person consume you. You have to keep your own person. You have to be your own person because if you're not, then who are you? And then you start trying to figure that out. And again, it can either make or break the relationship. So, being your own person, spending time together without digital interference, uh, spending time apart and enjoying time apart, whether, like you said, in the home, going someplace. Like I have a class that I do once a month that's for me, and I go do it. Now, granted, the guys are usually at work when I'm doing it, but still, it's for me. You know, they work, I don't. They both work close to the same hours, a little different, but close. Um, so, like in the evening, I have time with Nathan before Dustin gets home, and I have time in the early afternoon, like late morning, early afternoon with Dustin when Nathan goes to work because Nathan works 12 to 8, Dustin works 2 to midnight. So there's time for each of us to spend alone, which is essential too when you're in a polyamory relationship. You have to be able to give them each individualized attention. But then we also come together and we do things together like work on the finances. and discuss any big purchases that might want to be made, so that it is a community thing. It's we decide together, we do together. And it just builds you stronger as time goes on. But the basis is your individuality, your own self, open and honest communication with shut mouth listening. And then everything just kind of adds on and builds that relationship. And again, everybody's relationship is different, but if they
Mm,
have the basics, anything else is gravy.
right on. Well, thanks for sharing that, Tony.
You're
Artem
welcome.
has another thing that I want to highlight here. Artem always has great comments. Artem, I'm always glad every time I see you in the chat. And it was great to have you on as a guest last week. Artem says another prerequisite for romantic relationships, emotional egalitarianism. I love that. Meaning you should care that the other person feels at least as good as you do. That's what caring means. That's
Exactly.
that's really interesting. That's a really thoughtful comment, Artem. Where's the line between not owning the other person's emotions? And Tony, maybe I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Where's the line between not owning the other person's emotions, not taking responsibility for the other person's experience or emotions, and emotional egalitarianism, like Artem is talking about?
So, you know, the circle that therapists always talk about that intersect, and there's a part that overlaps, and that overlapping part is where you would share those emotions, and the part outside that overlapping part is where you don't share those emotions, where you own your own emotions. Don't ever let those interlocking circles end up overlapping. You want them to interlock, but not overlap, because as soon as they overlap, the egalitarianism isn't there anymore.
Mm,
It's lost because one becomes the other, and your own individuality is lost as well. Not only your feelings, but your individuality. So knowing what the boundaries are, and again, it comes to boundaries. What's your boundaries? Set your boundaries. Okay, you feel this way about that. I feel this way about that. I can accept how you feel. You accept how I feel. And we agree that we can own our own feelings. So that way we understand each other. We can feel for them. My husband likes to say, I can feel for you, but I just can't quite reach you.
true that.
So, and that's the thing. You can understand how they feel, you can acknowledge their feelings, but you don't let it overtake your own feelings and change how you might feel. Keep your own feelings, because unless there's a really good reason to change your feelings. But unless it's a really, really good reason, don't do it. Keep your own feelings,
Hmm.
because not only does it give you your individuality, but sometimes it gives you some really good conversations to learn more about that other person, because things come up in life that you don't expect, i.e., my son's motorcycle accident. And I'm sitting here watching my husband, and he's dealing with our son who's not being exactly cooperative at first, and he's getting stressed out. And I'm like, I understand, honey. I'm right there with you.
Hmm.
You go take a break, and I'll sit
Hmm.
here. And then he would say, you go take a break, and I'll sit here. And that's the nice thing about it, is you can recognize each other's feelings,
Hmm.
but not
That's
take them on as
something
your own.
that's something my therapist talks about also as recip- reciprocity. I'm like,
Yes,
what is that word?
reciprocity.
Reciprocity. I want to say hi to Cougar Town. I saw you in here earlier. I put up some of your comments, but I couldn't find a good time to say hi. Cougar Town, I'm so nice. It's so nice to see you. Cosmic Christie, welcome in. Nice to see you. Miss Sunrise Dawn, welcome in. Says hi from North Georgia, driving and listening. Lifeboat, are you still in here? I want you to tell me when you're getting ready to go live, and I'll shut this shut this. Well, I'm not going to shut it down. I'm going to move the party over to your place is what's going to happen. If you're still in here, Lifeboat, let me know. Send me a smoke signal. Also, I wanted to highlight this comment. K1 said she's in a polyamorous relationship too. You probably hear that all the time. And K1 says that's based. And I love that comment.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm old. What is that's based mean?
That's based. Like that is solid. Like that's
Okay.
And I could be wrong. Maybe I have a misunderstanding of the word based. I'm not exactly up on the latest lingo, but K1, if you want to give me, and also Tampa B Man in the house. Hey, Tampa B Man. K1, if you want to give us a definition of what that's based mean, please do. But the way I understand it is like solid.
It is. You know, not every polyamory relationship is the same as mine. You know, there's all kinds of different ways of being polyamorous, and they're not always a sexual relationship either. I love the way my boyfriend Dustin explains it. He says he told a high school friend of his that they're in a polyamorous relationship. And she looked at him funny. He goes, well, we talk all the time. We spend time together. We have a connection. He goes, that's a polyamorous relationship because I'm in a relationship with somebody else. It doesn't have to include sex. It's like for some, it's just being able to sit there and talk to somebody else or sit there and snuggle with somebody else. You know, it's not always sexual.
I have not
a lot
heard
of people.
Sorry, go ahead.
A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, I've not heard the polyamory perspective that there's no sex involved. Sometimes it can just be cuddling or having coffee. I have thought about this for myself in the past, long time ago, and I decided it's not something that I could do. I'm just not the type of person to want to share my toys like that.
And a lot of people are that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people are that way.
Not that boys are toys. I apologize, man. I'm not calling you a toy. It's just a saying. It's just a phrase. Email me at Tara Smiling.
You know, it could be girls too, you know, that are toys, you know, who knows? So, but no, not everybody is made for polyamory. You know, it took us a while it's actually kind of funny because most people think that Nathan and Dustin get jealous of each other, but they never think of me getting jealous of Nathan and Dustin because they don't have the sexual part, but they're very connected in that they talk a lot. They have a lot of the same interests. They do things together. They work out in the yard together, you know, so they have their own form of a relationship, which makes part of our polyamory relationship, right? So people think that I don't get jealous, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's times I feel a little jealous of those two because sometimes I think those two are closer than I am with either one of them. And they don't have sex.
So Cosmic, we have a bunch of people chiming in on what based means. So Cosmic Christie says base means like it's cool. Cougar Town, based equals own opinion, I think. It's a difficult term. Realist EDM says logical. I think someone needs to make an official definition because I also have struggles to figure out what based means. I've been hearing this term, just me chiming in, for several months now. And so Artem says, I thought based is supposed to mean well-informed, like it's founded on good information. Being yourself and not caring what others think of you, to carry yourself with swagger. And then K1 coming in. K1's the one who used it. So K1 says, yes, based means solid. Yes, folks. Tara Smiling for the win.
For the win.
Particularly in relation to tradition or perceived conservatism. It sounds like you looked this up, K1, but I'm guessing that you just did this from memory. K1 should be the one to submit the definition in the dictionary.
I think so.
So I think that the lifeboat has gone over to the boat. I propose that we start wrapping up here because I do want to support him. I also want to give y'all a little bit of a break in between this show and that one. What do you think, Tony? Do you have some other things that you want to share?
No, I mean, it was just I wanted to talk about the relationships and how what the most important things of a relationship are, because that helps others to find their own start in a relationship, I would say. Knowing what some of the most essential things are helps them start out in a relationship on a better foot, you know? And you can ask any of the children that have either come through the house or that have lived in the house. I always tell them, if you want a good relationship, you'll have an open and honest relationship.
Solid. That's based.
That's based.
All right, y'all. Well, Blessed to Crochet says, y'all have a good night. She's going to go mod another channel. Blessed to Crochet, it was so nice to see you there. Tampa B Man, did I say hi to you? I think I did, but I'm not sure. Tampa B Man, I brought my girlfriend into a marriage. Wasn't good for the marriage. Yikes. Well, thanks for sharing that, Tampa B Man. I'm sure it happens all the time in polyamory.
Mm-hmm. If you have the right personalities that can fit together, they tend to work out. If you don't have the right personalities, they don't. Because personality makes a difference too.
Can I just share that my personality is like, he's mine, all mine?
Yep.
Maybe that's not a healthy perspective. I don't know. I had that thought. I'm like, at one point I thought to myself, well, maybe polyamory is the healthy way. You know, like I guess there's no healthy or non-healthy way. There's only
Not
based.
really.
There's only based.
Yeah. A solid relationship.
Solid. Yeah. Okay, y'all. Well, Cosmic Christie says we need a bumper sticker or a sticker for based. Oh, the lifeboat chiming in. Captain Calhoun, thanks for chiming in. He's going to go live in about 5 minutes. I know you said you don't want to miss. I don't want to miss Lifeboat, and I appreciate the communication. That's a solid friendship there. I would really like to be there for sure. For sure. You know, I love to support you and the boat. It's always a fun time over there. So if you've never been over to the Lifeboat, please join us in about 5 minutes. And if you have been there before, then you know, and you don't want to miss it. So without further ado, I think I'm going to wrap it up here and say, drum roll. You know what? I never did the psh earlier. I did the drum roll and I never hit the cymbal. But I will say that it has been a pleasure speaking with you all as always. Tony, thank you so much for coming up and sharing your experience with us. Super based. You know, and there's that song. You know that song, Tony? I'm all about that bass, no treble. That's the song of the day here. Spanx, what do you think about that?
There you go.
I love you all very much. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out. It's a pleasure. You know what? I forgot to say this earlier too. I am not sure about this new Tuesday schedule because it's not even that I'm not sure. It's that I volunteer every other Tuesday at 4:00, and I totally forgot about it when I scheduled this. So I apologize. It's going to be kind of confusing me figuring out what day I want to go live because I've got commitments on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Mondays. Sometimes I'm recovering. Lowered my dose in ketamine treatment this week and I recovered faster. So I might be able to go back to Mondays, but please stay tuned. I do apologize for the inconvenience. It was an oversight on my part, so my bad. If we're making free-based stickers, I'm gonna need some. I think I want to clarify. I think Spanx means no cost based stickers because I'm sure he's not talking about free basing. And I don't even know if I can say that on YouTube, but YouTube, we're talking about free, AKA no cost based stickers. And with that, everybody, I hope to talk to y'all soon. Tony, do you want to stick around for a second and chat in the back, or do you want me to call it?
It's up to you.
Okay, stay there, and we'll close in the back. I always think it's abrupt when people just call it and you're still up. So everybody, I hope to talk to you soon. Oh, and Vicky says she loves you.